welcome to the day 3 of the 180-day challenge. Today is going to be the same workout. We are just going to do the metabolic conditioning of the GPP. Today I did 9 rounds and followed by incline dumbbell press. Today I'm only trying to target chest. So we just did 3 sets of that and one all-out set with a drop in between. My post-workout meal, I've finished my workout. So my post-workout meal today is just going to be a protein shake and with a fruit. So let's jump right into the workout and walk through. All right, what's up, guys? Today is going to be the day 3 of the 180-day challenge. As usual, starting up with chin-ups. Now, there are a lot of people who are going to be looking at this program very strangely. But you're seeing it is the third day I'm doing chin-ups, around 80 to 60 reps every day. I'm just going to be having one day rest in between. And really, chin-ups is exercise. If you look at a lot of CrossFit athletes or even lots of NFL players, football players, chin-ups, pull-ups, or even the close grip ones, the hammer grip pull-ups are very beneficial. And uh, the main muscle which is going to be moving here is going to be your back, and your back is a very big and strong muscle which can take a lot of damage. Only then your back grows. If your current program has your back training just once a day, then because your back muscle tends to be a very big and dominant muscle, and it can take a lot of damage. So training it once a week, you're actually taking two steps backward. You always want to take two steps forward, because by trying to train your back as much as you can, because your back, like I said, your back is a very big muscle. And even with push-ups, you see people doing push-ups as warm-up, or just 2 to 3 sets, or people doing push-ups just on their chest day. You can try to replace this with dips, but for me, I'm not really comfortable with dips, so I tend to use push-ups. And because I have individual chest and shoulder days sometimes, uh, doing push-ups every day, it really interferes with my pressing movements, like bench press, incline press, especially standing press and things like that. I used to do dips, but I've just completely removed them out of my exercise. I just found that push-ups was a safe alternative. And volume, with this kind of volume push-ups, I really can scale down the volume of my chest training, focus more on shoulders, focus less on triceps, because although your chest is a primary mover in the push-up, your stabilizer muscles like your frontals and triceps play a very big role. And I feel that with this much volume of push-ups, the triceps would pretty much be reaching their maximum recoverable volume. For example, if you have a separate chest or a separate tricep day, you would do a bunch of cable stuff like rope extensions, followed by close grip press or even skull crushers. But in this program, you're going to be noticing like your small muscle groups, like your biceps, triceps, shoulders, calves. All this is going to be getting a lot of volume just with the body weight exercises. You don't need a separate day. Or if, for instance, if your back and biceps are lagging, would you do two exercises or one exercise? If you do a chin up, both of both of these muscle groups are going to be targeted significantly. You can go look up at any of the EMG data or any data out there. You can see that chin ups overreach or overperform than any kind of rows or curls for bicep development. So you you would want to kill two birds at the same stone. So that's my goal here, because for me, I see that I need arm growth, especially in the long head of the bicep. So chin up stretches that out and also gives me a peak contraction. So that's the reason I'm doing so many chin ups 6 to 5 times a week. Maybe a lot of volume for a beginner. I would say if you're a beginner and if you cannot do chin up, you can just stand on the stool, jump to the chin up bar, and come slow down in the negative, like 2 to 5 second negative. Try to do this every day or every other day to 10 to 15 reps. Then in a couple of days or in a couple of weeks, you should be able to do a chin up, and then you can progress going by that. Another way to do chin ups, if you're not able to do chin ups, if you're too fat or if you're too weak, you can do chin ups by using reverse band tension reverse bands. Like as you can see here on the chin up bar, I can just add a band on top, reduce the resistance, and you have different kinds of bands for different resistance. And you will need band for most of your exercises, especially if you're doing a lot of presses. I usually start my pressing warm up with band pull aparts and with little bit of rotator cuff warm ups with the bands, and even face pulls with bands. If you This is the difference between a band and a cable exercise, or the cable crossover exercise. The bands gives you more stretch and the reflex in any of the exercises, more specifically with the face pull. So I prefer to use the bands, but if you want to use cables, feel free to do so. Today was gonna be chest day, but I ended up going a little late to the gym. I just missed it by 15 minutes. So this is me working out at the gym at 5 in the morning, and I usually finish up my workouts by 5:45, 5:50. But today I ran a little late, and I wanted to do flat bench and incline dumbbell press, but I just ended up doing incline dumbbell press. Let's see throughout the week in the next chest workout, how is it going to be. Most probably it's going to be Friday, so most probably I would be able to do bench press and incline press. Obviously, if you're training chest twice a week, one day would be dominant on the incline or one day would be dominant on the flat, but most of your focus, if you're a beginner, most of your focus should be on the flat press, because flat press targets your complete pack, and it's a mass building exercise, which means it's conducive to progressive overload. You can either try to add reps or add weight, because progressive overload is the main driving factor of growth. Or for instance, if you're training for 6 months and if you're doing 125 pounds for 10 sets of 3 reps, if you've done the same thing for the last 5 months, you're not growing. Either you need to try to add reps or you need to try to add weight. So if you're not doing both of it, and if you have a program in such a way that there is no progressive overload, which means there is no strain, more strain adding to the muscle. There's no more tension. You can increase the tension by adding bands, chains, but realistically, in a small gym, or you know, um, in the gym where when you're working out when it's very crowded, you really wouldn't be able to add that. So I feel that if most of you would be able to add weight in the initial time, especially in pressing exercises, because your weakest lift would be a starting press. Let me tell you, just from here, any one of you watching this, you know that your weakest lift is a standing press. I'm not talking about the push press or that half range of motion where you bring the bar only up till your nose and press it up. No, I'm talking about the full range of motion where you come and pause it on your chest and press it up. That's going to be your weakest lift. So obviously you would be able to add weight only up to a certain number of time. Then after that you're going to be able to increase the reps. So, or look at another extreme of the exercise, which is a deadlift. No program high has high volume deadlifts because you simply can't recover from that. Your central nervous system will be tired, you'll have a lot of adrenal fatigue, you just won't be able to do super high volumes of deadlifts. So for deadlifts, usually you'll see program which has very low rep ranges, and your only way of progressive overload there is by increasing weight, or changing the variation. For instance, you run a cycle for 3 months with conventional deadlift, the other cycle you will run with sumo deadlift, or you can go with a stiff legged deadlift, which would be a very great assistance exercise, or Romanian deadlift. And that's the thing with deadlifts, because there are a lot of limiting factors in a deadlift. For instance, many people would be able to deadlift say X amount of weight, for instance 300 pounds. If you're able to deadlift 300 pounds, you will be actually able to pull only 240 or 250 pounds from the floor, because there can be two reasons for this. One is you're using your grip is a limiting factor, two is a hamstring weakness, three is a back weakness. So most of the time it's a grip weakness. What happens is people who are usually used to using straps, or people who don't use straps or use this versa grip, or these different kind of grips which we use, doesn't give you complete grip strength. You get complete grip strength from chalk. I know many people have issues by using chalk, but you will get chalk in any stationery shop, and one box of chalk will hardly cost you any, and you just need to bring that, crush that, take, carry it in a box to the gym. For me, in my gym bag, I have a band, I have wrist straps, and I have chalk. On my deadlift days and squat days, I bring my belt because when I'm if it's a heavy day and I'm going really heavy, I prefer to use a belt. But on the other days, chalk is a staple. You can use it on your rows, you can use it on your push-ups, pull-ups, farmer's walk, anything which involves your grip, or anything where you're holding a bar with a reverse resistance. And again, if you see, the long head of the hamstring seems to be another weakness in the deadlift, because what happens is, because deadlift is a very partial exercise and it's not a complete range of motion unless you're trying to add a deficit to it. So if you're not adding a deficit to your deadlift, it's a partial exercise. You want to use supplement with exercises which uses the full range of motion. For instance, your program has deadlifts, and because deadlift trains only half of the muscles in your hamstring, you want to use a secondary exercise for complete hamstring development, because deadlift is going to give you overall growth. But if you want to maximize hypertrophy or even keep your hamstring safe, you need to do a hamstring curl, or the exercise which I'm doing on the screen now, which is a banded deadlift, which just trains to use the hamstring for its complete range of motion. Because obviously in deadlift you won't see anyone doing this complete range of motion, or you can even go as simple as hamstring curl. Even with the squat, if you're not able to go up in weight in your squat, whether it be high bar squat, low bar squat, front squat, dumbbell squat, overhead squat. If you're not able to add weight, you add reps. If you're not able to add reps, you find out the weakness which is stopping you from doing that and target that body part and do more isolation work. For instance, the weak link in my squat is my quads. So that's the reason I do step ups. Now, there are many alternatives to step ups. You can do a body weight squat, you can do a pistol squat, you can do a sissy squat, but you can do lunges, reverse lunges. But I feel with doing this 5, 6, 7 times a week, I feel step ups is safer, because I actually experimented doing it with walk-in lunges. But with walk-in lunges, your muscles don't give up, but one thing which gives up very quickly is your ankle. You will immediately feel it in the fourth or fifth day your ankle swells up, and that's the reason I just don't do push-ups right off the floor. I just put my hands on, either two dumbbells where I can grip my wrist on it, or two plates where I can, grab my wrist on it. Because push-ups, dips, presses, it's either safer to use wrist straps, especially when you're doing higher volume, or it's better to use a hammer grip. The only difference between this and doing push-ups on the floor is this is a hammer grip. I'm holding on to something to keep my hands in a good position. And now we are moving on to the next exercise, the first exercise for the chest, first and only exercise actually today, which is inclined dumbbell press. Just make sure and just watch the technique. You have 3 points of contact on the bench. One is your trap, one is your glute, and one is your feet. If you do not arch, you're not working your chest. It's your front delts which is taking over. So make sure to arch, keep a medium to a big arch, and remember of the 3 point contact and press up. Because if you're using half range of motion, or if you're not using full range of motion, then it's not going to help you. Just look at the form. This is how you're supposed to do it. And with incline dumbbell press, actually any kinds of presses until 50-degree angle on the bench, as you can see, you can set up the angle, it works your pecs. Anything above that, your front delts would want to take over, or the long head of the tricep would want to take over. But until 50-degree angle, your chest is going to work. It's just that the different kinds of fiber activation, the more incline you go, the more upper chest, the more flat is going to work the inner chest and the medial side of the chest, and decline will target the lower part portion of the chest. Now, many people would like to start with the compound, but if you start with the compound, you you get weaker as the exercise goes. So you can start with the compound. In the second exercise, you can do an isolation, maybe a chest fly, a dumbbell fly, or a cable fly, or a pullover, and you can end it. For instance, if you're starting with a flat bench, your second exercise can be fly, cable crossovers, or dumbbell flies, and you can finish it off with incline dumbbell press, or you can finish it off with dips or push-ups. Of course, you have a lot of fancy and crazy machines, but your big barbell, dumbbell, and body weight exercise is going to give the most effect for your sets. Now, I think that's going to give you the most effect of for your exercises, because you can use the cable crossovers, you can use these hammer strength machines, but what benefits you get out of a barbell exercises, you will not get it off a machine, because it's a complete compound exercises. There's a lot of stabilizers involved, because the machines are designed in a way to isolate a body part. You can use it, they have a place. For instance, you have a weaker body part and you're trying to bring it up, but you don't want to involve the other body parts. Look at me in this program, I have weak body parts, I want to bring it up. For example, my side delt, I I can do side laterals and bring it up. I don't want to do include more pressing in my exercise index, which will increase my total overall volume, and I won't be able to complete my chest training, or maybe I won't be able to complete my tricep training or my shoulder training. So for side delts, I may take a smaller exercise which does not fatigue my overall body, and I can use that. So that's the place for isolation. But most of the time, if you're a beginner, you usually don't have weak links. Everything grows equally for the first 1 year or 1.5 year. And if you take basic exercise for your body parts, look at chest. Only two things you need for a chest. You need a flat press and an incline press. Let it be dumbbell, barbell, or even machines if that's what you prefer. And for back, you need a pulling exercise and a rowing exercise. I would suggest pull-ups or chin-ups and barbell row